Sup y'all, it's your boy Kairos, and I'm bringing you the Protection Warrior PvP guide for the War Within in Season 1. This spec is a little, I wouldn't say a little overtuned, it's definitely way overtuned. Um, it's hitting for a million non-crit on Execute, it's hitting with Demolish really hard. It's actually kind of ridiculous how much Prot is doing, and it makes people insanely tanky, and you're insanely tanky, and you can sit in battle stance and have a few more crit. And if you need to sit in D stance, you also take less magic damage and less physical damage, and all the other things that make Prot really great. And you have a 50% healing reduction. So Ravager, throw down. It does about, I'd say about 600-700k on one. The debuff lasts for about 20 seconds. I would say, yep, lasts for about 10 seconds. Total lasts for about 21 and a half seconds. 18-19 seconds, I would say, with Storm of Destruction, Blade Storm, and Ravager. Now snare all targets you hit by 60% for 6 seconds. And decrease their healing taken by 50% for 10 seconds. This is absolutely crazy. So now you can actually basically have a sharpened blade on the target for roughly 35 to 40 seconds, depending on, what kind of class they're playing. Now, I have two different builds for Prot, sort of, kind of, not necessarily builds, but more just swapping in between the PvP trees and just seeing kind of what's happening. Depends on the comp you're going into. If you're going into caster comp, you're going to run Mountain Thane. If you're running into melee, Colossus is absolutely all the way. Colossus is terrible into mages. Can be bad into paladins because they can move. You always have to secure it with a stun, just like I said in my arms guide. That's one of the things I do not like about Colossus, and it's a channeled ability. You can be feared through it. Of course, you are immune to stuns, I believe. Yeah, you're immune to stuns and knockbacks and force movement effects. But you are not immune to disorients, to fear, to any of that. You have the great utility of the Prot tree, so you can do stuff like this. You can move stuff around. I just like Cracking Thunder. Visually, it looks cool, and you get to be absolutely annoying with it, and it snares people by 40%, so it's basically hamstring. Okay, so with the Prot tree, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. This is probably one of your best ones. Shockwave stun duration is increased by 1 second and reduces movement speed of affected targets by 40% for 3 seconds after the stun ends. Shockwave also knocks enemy into the air and the cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. You pair that with Rumbling Earth. Now Shockwave is 20-second stun, really good into melee cleaves. That's why before I said Colossus, run it into melee cleaves, wizard cleaves. Really good. I really enjoy that. So I believe it has to hit 3 targets, at least 3 targets. Can come in pretty clutch if you're fighting, let's say, a warlock and a warrior, a hunter and a warrior, a hunter and a DK. Basically anything with a pet, you can get that triple stun and get that reduction on your shockwave, and it's also, the range of it is also increased by 6 yards, and it's a lot more, so you don't have to be super crazy good with getting it off like you used to have to be. No stranger to pain. Just make sure Ignore Pain a little bit bigger, which is good as Prot because your scaling with Ignore Pain is already really, really good. This talent, really not that great. I might see some play with like arms, but your tank, not a lot of people are going to want to hit you. Arterial Bleed just makes your rend and your deep wounds, stack up to 10 times and do 10% more damage, I believe is what it is. It's 10%. As far as everything else, you can't really select anything else. Colossus Might increases the damage of your revenge by 10% per stack, so that can actually get up to 100%. And you can kind of hold back, and it actually makes revenge actually do a decent bit of your damage, believe it or not, which is really good. So we're always going to have the same concept with Prot going forward, is I'll show you in a minute, but I want to cover Mountain Thane really quick. Crackling Earth, just you have so much health anyway. You're not going to need the 5% extra health. You have 10 million health in PvP without any modifiers. Physical damage reduced by 2%, just makes you a little bit tankier. Thunder Blast reduces damage you take by 8% for 5 seconds. This is always going off for Prot. This is not really a big deal. Always run, keep your feet on the ground. You're just going to take less damage. Now, Prot has way more armor over Arms or Fury because you have a shield. So with the Mountain Thane, with running intervening, a target grants them a shield for 5% that absorbs equal to 3 times your armor. You pair that with Safeguard and the fact that in PvP you have about 500k armor. It's a 1.5 million shield if it's the same modifier on the Mountain Thane, or it is in PvP. Thorum's Might, you're not ever going to run Gathering Clouds. Your attacks trigger lightning strikes 30% more often. Who cares? It's nice to have huge revenges and execute damage. Execute with this actually hits harder. Execute hits harder with Mountain Thane, which is kind of nice. I've had executes hit 1.1 million non-crit. And casting Avatar grants you 2 charges of Thunderclap and resets the cooldown of Thunderclap. While Avatar is not active, lightning strikes have a 10% chance to grant you Avatar for 4 seconds. So that's also a nice thing in that tree. And I believe Shield Slam and Bloodthirst have a 35% chance to grant you Thunder Blast, stacking up to 2 times. This is actually really good because you can actually proc your Shield Slams really quickly. Shield Slam just procs non-stop, and you're generating a ton more rage for you to either spend on Revenge, to proc more Shield Slam, to proc more Thunder Blast to deal more damage. And we only change, I would say, 1 talent out of from Colossus to Mountain Thane, just depending on the situation and what comp we're fighting. But none of the hero talents really change at all. Those basically stay baseline. Cleave, Colossus Smash, Mountain Thane. Obviously into casters, because you have Storm Shield, which just POs for your entire team, makes your damage incredibly high, and allows your teammate to stay in the fight rather than not, and or save on cooldowns by using Intervene, and you're already a tank, so you're already going to be taking a lot less damage. As far as the talents go, these are pretty much going to be your best talents. Fueled by Violence, you're going to be basically in Arms War. You're going to be getting your bleeds on everything as much as you can, and you're going to be healed for it. Bloodborne just increases all your damage, and in turn increases the healing from your deep wounds. Okay, and Thunderous Words, you're never going to run Spear. This just buffs your healing more with Thunderous Words, and it's on a 45-second cooldown. Basically lines up with Avatar if you manage to spend the Rage, and every 10 Rage you spend reduces the cooldown on Avatar and Shield Wall by 1 second. So you spend 40 Rage, you knock 4 seconds off of Avatar, and you're always, let me just put it like this. Revenge costs 20 Rage. Ignore Pain costs 35 Rage. You are always knocking time off of your Avatar. So it's pretty close. I would say maybe with a little more haste, they'd perfectly line up, but even then, they basically all line up together with your Colossus Smash, your Bloodthirst, or not your Bloodthirst, but your Thunderous Words and your Demolish. All together, they line up really well. So I'm just going to start this off. Every one of these times that you get this ability, each time you use Shield Bash, you're pretty much going to get a Colossus Might. Before you burst, you can get them from executes as well, but when you do this, you're going to want to get up to 10 stacks as fast as possible. And basically what you're going to do is once you get that Shield Blast, or that once you get 10 stacks, this also increases all your bleed damage over the course of the game. But let's say you're going to burst, right? So you're going to slow everything, you're going to stun them all, you're going to pop your Thunderous Words, and then you use your Demolish. I've got healing done at the moment. But Demolish is hitting exceptionally hard, 1.7 million. I would say Demolish in PvP right now is probably one of your top damaging abilities. Melee and Devastator are a big one. Shield Slam's a big one. Once you start getting those stacks from Violent Outburst, increases the Shield Slam damage, or Thunderclap to deal 200% more damage. Synergizes really well with Mountain Thane as well. This spec is actually doing a ton of damage, so I'll show you guys some games here. This one I really did not do good. I could not, for the life of me, land a Demolish, but you can see even where I channel for a couple times where it still deals a lot of my damage. Another one, Arcane Mage, DH died really quickly. If we actually look at the deaths in this one, the DH actually got killed by 1.1 million execute. Previous to that, another 1.1 million execute. If you can see on the thing there, go back to damage done. Arcane, we still struggle with Arcane. Who would have thought? There's another one. This Windwalker Monk, he used Karma offensively, and he's hitting everything obviously. But execute, 4 casts of execute did, or I guess rather 3, because 3 is what landed, did. And this was with Mountain Thane, and it was my top damage. So you're starting to see a correlation where you're able to peel and you're able to keep up relatively with a lot of classes. And you're just doing so much damage, basically, where if you're using Demolish or if you're running 3s with a teammate, you can keep people alive for a very long time. And you also have other support talents along with Intervene, Moral Killer. I mean, you can drop Ravager and go into like Bodyguard, Shield Bash, anything else that's super disruptive. Dragon Charge, Thunderstruck, roots all the targets. So you could do something like, you know, go into this if you want to peel someone all game, so they're forced to hit you. Blocking attack deals 20,000 X damage to the target and hits, you know, so it adds a little more damage. You can run something like Shield Charge, where it does a pile of damage as well, and I believe Shield Charge damage, so you could go into even say, oh, let's not pick that. Let's pick something like this. Let's drop Disrupting Shout. So we'll do something like this. That's for example. So I'll kind of pick some talent. I'll switch some talents around to kind of show you what Mountain Thane is like. Hate that it takes forever. Of course, I'm like slow about it. Okay. Believe we have to lose one of these ones. Yep, unfortunate. Okay, let's just do that as an example or something like that, right? Or let's just go ahead, not even worry about the self-healing. We're gonna run utility. We're gonna get our preset of a fear from the Warlock with our Enrage. So when you activate Avatar, increases the damage of Thunderclap and Shockwave by 50% and reduces the cooldown of Thunderclap by 50%. Synergizes really well with Mountain Thane. So we're just going to go ahead and pop everything. We're going to get an instant thing of Thunderblast. We're just going to, whenever we do have Shield Slam, we're going to use it on cooldown, because that's what gives us more Thunderblasts. So we're always going to want to use it. We're pretty much always going to prioritize Shield Slam versus everything else. We don't have Shield Slam. We're either ignoring pain or something like that. We want to use Thunderclap as Thunder Blast. That way it deals a ton of our damage. Okay, we got another one. We're just going to... This is basically what we're doing the entire game. Our sustain is a lot higher with this. I know I'm hitting multiple targets, but you kind of hit everything as arms. And as you can see, I've got Avatar basically almost back on cooldown, or off of cooldown, with Dragon Roar. like I was saying, the more rage you spend. You never want to be capped on rage if you can help it. If you can't fit something else in your rotation, I believe Ignore Pain is off the GCD, so you can be spamming Ignore Pain. Make yourself tanky while you're doing it. So it is definitely something to think about. Okay, another Thunder Blast. It's a really simple concept, but you can start to see, and I know this is cleaving. This won't be a true number for, you know, what it is, single target, but you got to remember, you're not just a damage dealer, you're also this kind of the support spec. You're making everybody else unkillable in your party. And Thunderclap really does add a lot of damage, and Avatar makes your Thunder Blast damage actually crazy as Prot, and your execute damage is already buffed by 15% with this tree, with Thorum's Might. So you can start to see where Prot Warrior actually has some crazy damage and gains. So you have basically a supercharged Sharpened Blade with Ravager. You have really good damage with Shield Bash, and it's basically a charge as well. Oh, and it roots them, or stuns them rather. And I don't believe it does. Yep, it does DR. But you can use it as a charge. Yeah, it's a 45-second cooldown, but it does hit hard. So that is an upside. So you can stop a cast with that. You can be super disruptive as Prot Warrior. Super fun spec. It's actually kind of fun to pop everything and actually use charge, rather shield charge with that, and actually one-shot someone. So I would drop all the talents here and go into Ravager off of this talent. So it would just look like this. Yep. So it would look something like this. So you can be super disruptive and just be super annoying the entire game. I don't know why I have that one enabled. But you can run shit like shield block. You're able to block spells for 30 seconds. Just ridiculous stuff, you know. Blocking spells, sit in D stance, you take 6% less magic damage, and you're already taking X amount less damage in PvP. It's kind of a funny thing. I think, honestly, it's kind of hilarious. But I wanted to showcase this and kind of give you, like, hey, here's some builds that are actually doing quite a bit of damage. Not as much damage as Arms or Fury, but you're making your team basically unkillable through the process. Magic and physical, which is priceless. And you have a supercharged Sharpened Blade. And it's just... it's ridiculous. It's basically super troll, and I'm loving it. There's plenty of 2's games where I'm topping the damage. People can't kill me. They can't kill my teammate. Just stuff like that. But you guys have a good one, and you guys enjoy Prot Warrior in the Season 1 of The War Within. See y'all later.